Well, hello to anyone watching. This is Off the Records interviews, which I've been told I need to start announcing at the beginning of my interviews. And today I am here with Timo Kurkela.
Nice to be here.
Well, it's just great to get to talk to you for a change and get to hear a little bit more about you and your music, because I've only just recently discovered that you do solo music as well.
Thank you for asking. This is actually quite new to me, and I'm a bit nervous, but hopefully it will be all good.
Well, first of all, congratulations on releasing your new single. How are you feeling about everything?
Uh, I feel really good and relieved. Like I've had that song ready for quite some while, and it's been, in the back of my head, like not knowing like when to release it and actually set a date and give the song away is quite wonderful and liberating feeling, and also of course like the like how people like took the song like has been really nice. I'm really happy how everything went.
Uh, I played it for one of my friends who had actually come to Kite for that first Altamullan Road show, and she had it on her list. She hadn't listened to it yet, and then she's just like, wait, stop, don't say anything. I need to zone in on this. And then just stared really intently out the window for the whole song, and then was just like, I loved it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
I mean, I also loved it, but her story was better.
Thank you.
Well, again, just to get started, I've gotten familiar with you through these performances with Altamullan Road. So, is your whole family very musical, or is it just you and Johanna?
I would say we all are. And like growing up as a kid, like we had many instruments in our home. We had two pianos, guitar, cello, violins, and yeah, my mom and dad, like they've been playing music, not professionally, but like playing music for themselves all their lives, and they sing in a choir. And music has always been part of our family. And me and Johanna have a little sister, and she also a really good musician. She's really into like Irish music, and she plays like these Irish whistles, and also like she's really great piano player. So yes, it runs in the family, I guess.
I'm a little jealous because my dad loves to play guitar, but nobody else in my family is particularly musical. So, unless I was playing fiddle with my dad and he was just kind of chording along on the guitar, I was always playing by myself.
Well, yeah,
Go
it's quite rare we play together like as a family, like either, but like it's been there, and it's also like it's rare when we play together, but it's also kind of special in a way when that happens.
So, what's your musical origin story, so to speak? Like, how and when did you get started, and what instruments do you play, and did you take any lessons, or did you teach yourself? Like, what's the backstory?
Okay, I the first time I started to take like music lessons, I think I was 7, and I started like classical piano lessons back then. I come from this little like country town, and like that was one of the few options they had. And I actually met my first piano teacher this week, and she remembered me because I was really disappointed in the classes because I had such an urge to play rock and roll music, and she only taught classical music. And um, yeah, but that's where it started. I didn't play piano. I think I did only like 2 years, and then I tried playing drums, and I think I was 14 when I started to play guitar, and that's kind of something that has, you know, that sticked or stuck. And yeah, I went to music high school in Oulu, and after that I went to university to study, like to become a music teacher in like high school, but I switched to study singing teacher education, and yeah, from there I graduated from 2018. And yeah, I've been playing, like, because of those studies, I've been playing, bass, drums, piano, almost all kinds of instruments at some level, but I feel like, guitar and singing are the main instruments for me now.
Actually, something I've always kind of wondered about was these music high schools, because obviously in North America we just have high school where you just do math and science and social studies and all of that. So what is it actually like going to music high school? Do you just have music classes too, or what's different about it?
Yeah, I think it was a huge thing for me. Again, like coming from this little country village, where I think I was the only one, well, one of the few who were into music. Like almost no one played there. And then I come to Oulu, and suddenly I'm surrounded by people who all really love music, and they all play instruments. And it's basically like a high school. Like you can have everything that you can study all the things you can study in regular high school, but then we have so much more, like music, and there are courses where you can learn to write your own music. There are courses where you write a musical. There are courses, extensive, music history, music theory, a cappella groups, band groups, choirs, all kinds of like extra stuff, which comes as like on top of what you need to study as a high school student. So it's a lot of work, but also really, really rewarding place to study.
That sounds incredible. I love the music culture in Finland just because there's so much of it everywhere. Like, it's great. So, when did you get started
Yeah,
writing your own
it's
music then?
um that's a good question. I've been I guess I wrote my first songs when I was in high school, but I've had this feeling that uh, during those times, and also like much later, I felt like I don't have the skill set, like musically, to sound the way I want to sound. So I kind of postponed the writing part to, dedicate my time acquiring the skill set that I thought that I would need. And I think I was in my 20s when I started to write songs, and I've been doing that more and more these past few years. But it's also been something that I've been struggling like big time. It's been so hard, like in so many ways. um, and I'm kind of like finding my new way of approaching the subject, and it's been kind of painful as well, to kind of reevaluate what's the word reevaluating the dream I've been having for so long. Yeah, if that answers at all.
No, it does. And I think it makes sense because I've been writing since I was really young. I've always, writing has been really, really easy for me, like coming up with stories and all of that. But I find writing lyrics is really hard, actually, because it's, you're working under such, strict constraints, and you have to be very, very clever to get exactly what you want to say exactly right and then not sound generic on top of it. because, you know, every rhyme's been done before. So I can see that there's like always going to be a challenge there unless you're one of these like lyrical savants.
Exactly, and I feel like the lyrics and writing lyrics like is the hardest part for myself at least, and I almost like I've been feeling quite frustrated, you know, dedicating so much time to acquiring the skill set that I actually now feel like, okay, now I think I have the skills to sound musically the way I would like, and then, you know, not being able to write the kinds of lyrics that I enjoy myself. So it's really hard, and I respect hugely the people who are good at writing, because it's a different kind of sport and art.
Absolutely. So what or who, I suppose, inspired you a lot when you were young? Like, who did you listen to that made you fall in love with music and want to write your own music and that sort of thing?
Uh, that's also a good question. I've always been listening a lot of music. If I would need to name one person, I think he would have to be John Mayer, and he came into my life. I was in high school um, at the time, and like his way of singing and playing guitar, like particularly acoustic guitar, were huge, like for me, and I really wanted to pursue that kind of thing. And yeah, I think he's the biggest influence, like musically influenced people for me, but also many others.
Well, on that note, I am curious because you guys were just playing these shows in Zwolle and Dordrecht with Damian Wilson. If you like that kind of singer and guitarist, were you able to watch him at all? And if so, how did you enjoy his show?
Yes. We met him a few times in the backstage, and in Zwolle, me and Mikko went to the audience to see him before our show, and I was really impressed. Like, and like in backstage also, like he radiates this kind of warmness and kindness, and on the stage as well. I had the same feeling, and the presence the guy has, like yeah, I was really impressed. Hopefully I will meet him in the future as well. What a lovely guy.
Truly, I think he takes more pictures with fans than anyone else at those Arion shows. If you go to the Arion fan club, you'll see like 3,000 pictures of people with Damian Wilson afterwards. Just truly such a
Yeah,
beam of sunshine.
yeah, I feel like he, like somehow, like the energy he radiates, like I feel like he's understood something really profound in life, that something really pure and true. Like even though I met him like only for a few moments, like it was so strong, the feeling you get from a from the person. Like, yeah, really cool guy.
Absolutely. Well, back to you though. So, uh, just this was actually a question from Kathy, whom you've met a few times, and she wanted to know the COVID years were quite hard on a lot of musicians. So, did they have any effect on you personally or musically in that sense?
Well, the COVID, like when it happened, it was quite bizarre thing to have your calendar, you know, emptied out. Like everything was cancelled, and like um I'm working as an entrepreneur, so it's like you have work or you don't have work, and then it's kind of like where do I get the money to live? But everything worked out quite well in the end. and like it was a bit of like, can we play live, and when we cannot. But I don't know, like it was bizarre, but it wasn't the worst for myself. I think I also kind of like spending time by myself, so even like the social distancing was kind of like feeling almost a normal thing to do. But yeah, also I'm not sure if it's COVID related or not, but like those COVID years like have been quite hard, but I'm not sure if it's because of COVID or something else I've been going through at the time.
Yeah, I understand. I'm kind of a hermit, and I have my office, as you can see, very well set up to suit my taste. So if I had to be stranded in here for the rest of my life, I'd probably be okay. So it was nice to have a little bit low pressure, but it was also just weird in kind of an inexplicable way.
Yes, I agree.
Well, so what kind of experience do you have playing live apart from the obvious Altamullan Road shows?
I've been playing live like professionally, I'd say maybe 12 years, like selling gigs. And I've been playing with a band by myself in a duo, trio, and playing like cover gigs, playing in people's weddings, birthday parties, little Christmas parties, all kinds of parties, and being the musician who plays the song the customer wants to hear. And that's the thing I've been doing these past years.
I hear that's kind of the way to go as a musician if you want to just have like a steady survivable income. It's wedding bands. Wedding bands are what everyone needs in Finland.
Yeah, I think many musicians do that, and it's really nice that it is possible to live, by playing music. I think it's such a privilege, but of course, it's a different kind of music scene in comparison to being a part of a group who plays more like original music and have more like artistic, like what's the word, like having
No, freedom. Freedom to
artistic
play what you
idea.
want.
Yes, exactly, because like in cover bands, like it's mainly you are an entertainer, and it's okay and it's valuable as it is, but it's I find it really nice to have both now, and being part of Altamullan Road has been so great experience so far, and yeah, I hope it will continue to be so.
Well, I recall hearing that the Altamullan Road shows were not originally meant to be such like a close family affair. So, were you part of the original live lineup, or did that change after the pandemic that you were added later?
Yeah, I wasn't part of the uh, original group, and it was, yeah, I think they had everything ready to go, and then because of COVID, just everything were cancelled, and I can't imagine like how it must have felt. But yeah, I was quite surprised, and also nervous when they asked me to try out with them. Uh, but yeah, I'm really happy everything went out, as it did, because it, like, I got to be part of this journey, and I'm really grateful forever that what this year has been with those guys, and the group is such a safe space, and it has such a loving environment. Like, I've never experienced anything like that, before.
Well, I think that even like rubs off on the crowd because everyone that I know that went to that show, and saw you guys play 5 times or something at this point, everyone was talking about like just this like wave of warmth and happiness that was coming off the stage. So I think it was a bit contagious.
Well, that's beautiful, beautiful. I'm really happy to hear that because like that's how it feels to be on the stage with those guys. And I also think like we are in the core of music, like carrying out emotion, and I think that's the job music has, more than showing off your talent or whatever. It's all about the emotion and stories and uniting people with the magic of music.
Mm, absolutely. So is this your first time actually performing with Johanna, or have you guys played live together before?
This was our first time this year doing the tour together. Yeah, we've been doing music like in our own fields. I've been doing cover gigs, and Johanna has her things going on, and now they kind of merged this year. And yeah, what a wonderful experience to play with her. Such a privilege, and she all like it's like I well, I've known her forever, but like I think she has kind of like this special way of seeing um you know the goodness in people and like bringing that you know up on the surface, like the people around her. And I think it's such a huge thing.
Well, with that in mind, are there any like funny or weird stories from that tour, or did anything like really crazy or unexpected happen?
um well, I think uh one of those moments could be the one. I think we started in the morning. We packed the car. We drove like 3 hours to the venue, and then we set everything up. And I'm like, where is my guitar? And then realizing at the venue that we actually left the guitar, Johanna's place, and uh, yeah, it was quite a hassle. But thankfully, there we found a guitar player like from the city who borrowed his guitar, which was actually even better than my own. So everything worked out well. But that was kind of one of those moments, like oh, okay, like this happened, and what can we do now to save this show? Um, yeah, but nothing. Like I think everything went quite smoothly. A few things here and there, but nothing major, like catastrophic happened.
Well, that's always good in the end. It doesn't make for as good stories, but it makes for a more peaceful
Yeah,
and enjoyable tour. So,
yeah. One time though, I think we were playing in Turku, and I have this kind of like battery system in my acoustic guitar, and I changed a new battery in the beginning of the show, but I think it was broken from the start or something, and some you know uh just like my guitar, like the sound went out. You couldn't hear anything from acoustic guitar, and then kind of like what should I do now? And then just like switching to electric guitar and just like playing the rest of the songs with that. But yeah, I remember, my heart, like everything just felt like moving 10 times faster, and my heart was beating and just like trying to survive the rest of the show. Uh, yeah, felt alive in that moment.
good surge of adrenaline. Well,
Yeah.
was there a very different feeling playing all these, like seated music halls in Finland versus the two shows in the Netherlands, which were more like club venues?
Uh, well, of course, it was different, especially like the support show, the Lane support show, because it was a new experience. Uh, well, to be in Netherlands and be a support band, and yeah, everything was new, and also like I feel like I think the biggest difference in those kind of situations is the time you have to set up, because in Finland, like with the Altamullan tour in Finland, we have had a lot of time to set up and really hone the tone and everything on the stage. And then in the Netherlands, it's like you have 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and you just try to make everything work, and then you go backstage and wait and pray that everything goes well.
Well, what was it like to open for Delane? Because they're obviously like a very different sounding band than Altamullan Road.
Yeah, I think it was wonderful, and the Delane, like the fans and the audience were so nice to play, and they were so like I felt the warmth from the audience. Like it was really a rewarding place to be on the stage there. And I don't know, even though the genre is a bit different, I've always thought that if you put your heart and soul to the music, like the genre doesn't matter that much. Like again, the emotion comes from the music, and usually people can appreciate that, even though it might not be the first choice of genre they would go for.
Yeah, I'm still kind of trying to figure out even what genre I would call that music because it's just really nice. It's
Yeah,
got a
we
little bit
never
of
talked about. Yeah, exactly. Like I have no idea, and I've never needed to, put Altamullan Road's music into a category, and I don't even want to try, because like um I've always thought that boxing things out, like what's the point? Like yeah, you listen and you decide if you like it, and if you do, then it's great, and if not, then there is something else for you, for sure.
I think that's the right attitude to have. And Saarijärvi is probably was it no, it's Provinssi that you're going to this summer, right?
Yes, Provinssi.
Yeah, that's a good one because I think that one doesn't seem to be. When I first moved here, I thought it was a metal festival, but every time I looked at the lineup, I was like, "Oh no, there's really kind of just everything there." So I think that's probably a pretty ideal place for you guys for a festival.
Yeah, I think so. And it's my first like playing in a festival ever. Uh, but I think the others haven't played that many festival shows either, so it's gonna be a new, I think, exciting experience for us. But yeah, really excited about that.
That should be a good time. I don't get to go because it's always the same weekend as Tuska, unfortunately. But
Yeah. Tough
maybe I've
choices.
seen you enough. 5 times is too much in 1 year, so
Yeah. Yeah, I believe you've seen our show. You know what's it about.
let's circle back around to this single now because it's called Nuori Sydän, if anyone hasn't heard it yet, and that means young heart, I suppose.
Yes.
So, for people who don't speak Finnish, kind of what's the song about, and do you have any favorite lyric from it that is particularly sweet to you?
Uh, yeah, I think the idea of the song and of the young heart for me was that um, like when you grow up and you learn things, learn um, learn your surroundings and kind of like get to know the world you live in. Like even when you fail, you always have the will, to get back up, and a curious mind and heart, and that's something I hope everyone would, keep for the rest of their lives, even though the outer, shell gets older. Still the heart could be that curious heart that sees possibilities and opportunities and wonder and magic in the world. I think that's the idea. And I think my favorite line is in the later part of the song. I think in Finland we say C part. I'm not sure if that's an international term, but after the second chorus, it's like this part where it says that when you are walking through like darkness, tears, and longing, like I hope that you remember that darkness only kind of like draws the outlines of the world. So there is the color and light, and the darkness is only like surrounding that. And when you are in the darkness, kind of like remembering that there is only darkness because of the light, and you can find your way back to the light. And also like the darkness is also like the reminder of the light and the love and everything good there is going on.
I love that, and it came at like a really appropriate time for me personally, because I'm trying very hard to reconnect to my young heart, because I feel like in the last 10 years it's gotten really old and tired and sad and depressed, and I'm just taking some time to revisit all those things that sparked joy and magic when I was young. I was such a little fantasy nerd, and I wanted to be out in the forest picking wildflowers and that sort of thing. And now the world gets really heavy after a while, so it's kind of a perfect song for what I need right now.
That's beautiful, and we are actually in the same place. It sounds like, and yeah, just trying to connect to that young heart. I guess like that's the way to do it. And yeah, I feel like it's such an important thing to find into that place.
It's really tough, I think, in this day and age, because back in like the 90s or whatever, everything felt really frivolous because we weren't all connected, so we didn't know which country was getting bombed all to pieces, or this or that, or we were little kids, so we didn't know what rough shape the government was in, and we didn't care because we were just outside splashing around in lakes and reading stories and that sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I actually like a few weeks ago, like I've had this idea of living without a clock, because like um, that's something I like. You live with a clock, like you've lived your whole life with a clock, and like people in the past, like few thousand years, like they just like looked the time from the sun, and kind of like I did that for 2 days, which obviously meant that no cell phone, no TV, and then every device that showed time was covered. And I felt like I got these kind of like flashes from my childhood, and the days felt longer, and I felt more connected to the actual moment that I was living. So yeah, I highly recommend, like if people have a chance to try that. Like I feel like the phone and the screens and everything we put into our brains, like there is so much good, but also so much things that aren't necessarily that good for our well-being.
Yeah, it's really kind of the catch-22, or is that the right phrase? I'm not sure. But with technology, because in so many ways it makes our life easier, but then in so many ways we become these slaves to these devices. And I do find that if I have a bad day, my first instinct is to just shove my cell phone under a pillow or something and forget where it is, and then automatically my day starts to get a little bit better.
Yes, I feel exactly the same way. Like every time I put my my laptop and phone into kind of like this box that isn't like, and it can be a shorter time, for 4 hours you are not allowed to look social media or anything from the internet, and something happens, and it makes at least myself, like, I feel better like after it, and I try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference to just, well, like the non-creative types out there maybe don't get this because they work their 9 to 5, so work is in a certain time of day and then rest is in a certain time of day. And I think I've noticed that you you lose a little track of when is work and when is play when you don't have that. It's really hard as an entrepreneur or an artist to, when you work your own hours, like I noticed that I have to actively schedule my downtime, and now I try to make sure that I'm not doing any work at all after like 6 to 8 p.m., just so that I know that, okay, this is the time when I get to chill out and not do anything, because I have that, like, I'm not doing enough panic a lot of the time. I need to be constantly like getting my name out there, or like making sure people remember I exist, or this or that or whatever, trying to build some sort of artistic name. And then you realize, oh, I haven't relaxed in 10 years.
Yeah, sounds actually really familiar. um yeah, and that's something I just like I've been starting to do like recently, and also like with writing music, because I've been working as a singing teacher and then playing my gigs, and feeling like every like free time I have is actually a time that I should give to the pursuing the dream of writing my own music. And then every time I didn't do something for that, I kind of felt guilty, kind of like guilt tripping myself for not pursuing, and just like ending up being super tired and harsh on myself. And I think that was the mistake I did. um yeah, these past years.
Well, it's always good to notice and try and wrangle it under control if possible.
Exactly, and it's never too late to take a new direction, and like, and especially like if I think like it's somehow learning to listen to your heart and like what your intuition tells you, and like if you've been going to a direction that you don't feel good about, like it's never too late to turn and actually turn towards something that makes you feel better.
Mm.
uh yeah, and sometimes it means that you need to give up on something, give up on some dreams, but maybe you will find them in a better way in the future, kind of like you've been trying to go through a rock, and then it's you need to take a detour or whatever to
Mm.
actually reach the place.
You do have to just kind of stop and re-examine, like, is this actually getting me where I want it to be? No. Okay. Grief period to like get over the wasted time, but then there's more energy to put into what you're actually interested in doing afterwards.
I felt exactly the same feelings of like, especially that I've been wasting my time, and like, have I uh like, what have I done with my life, dedicating it to pursuing this one like musical dream, and then like spending all those hours in a practice room, to get to the place where I actually never a place what I never reach. And yeah, I also felt some sort of grief period, but now it's also like I don't know, maybe universe arranged that well, I kind of like give up on something, and then beautiful things come to replace those things, and yeah, Altamullan Road and everything else that's been going on. Like I almost feel like it was somehow meant to be this way, or at least like how I don't know how long this will last, but yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it now that it's happening.
Well, on that note, I did kind of notice that you had some singles out under a different name. It was Timo Johannes, was it? And so
Yes.
you released a couple songs under that name, but now you've switched to using your last name. So what's kind of the story there between going from, I'm assuming your middle name to your last name?
Yeah, it is. Well, I feel like it somehow felt like a fresh start to be using my my last name now, and it's also like I've found it to be kind of inconvenient to I gig, like I do my cover things with my Timo Kurkela name, and then I had my like social media with Timo Johannes, and I'm really lazy of doing social media, so it was really all over the place, and now I feel like it's much easier to focus, to have everything in the same place. Yeah, that's the story. Nothing too major there, I feel like.
So are these new songs, are they all done by you, or are you working with anyone on mixing or mastering or anything like that?
Yes, I use people. The song, like I wrote the song, but then my friend here in Oulu, Petri Kuusela, he was like my music producer, and we worked a lot in his studio here. And then another friend, Juuso Aalruus, came to play drums. We booked a studio and did some recording there. And yeah, for mastering, it was Matthias Kiiveri, Hollywood House Studios in Helsinki, and no, mixing was done by Matthias, and mastering was done in Finvox. So yeah, it's just like getting the right people around you, and it's even like releasing a single is quite a process of working, like from the actually writing the song to record, mix, master, and then you should even promote the song. Like it's such a long lifespan for one song. Yeah, it's been a learning curve for myself every time I release something.
So are you then planning to release a full album at any point?
Well, that's been the dream. And actually, I had this single, like it has been ready for a long time, years before this actual release. And the idea was to write new music and have it ready to release after this one. But yeah, I got into a really bad place with myself and with my songwriting, so I don't have any plans at the moment. Like if at some point I feel like writing and releasing an album, it's gonna happen then. But if I fear, or I feel like that writing would put me in that bad place with myself, like I don't feel like it's worth worth it, even though it's been my dream from a little kid to release my own album. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's been a journey to learn so much about myself, and now I finally feel like the values in my life have been kind of like been, what's the word, like reordered in a better way. So the album isn't the number one, but if it comes naturally at some point, like, why not? But if not, then it's gonna be something else.
Well, on that note, a lot of people, when giving creative advice, they will suggest that you just do it. Just when it comes to writing, they'll say just write one line every day, and then after 10,000 days, you'll still have 10,000 sentences written, and that's a book. And I have to say, I kind of disagree with that, because I'm one of those people who doesn't like to be creative when I'm not feeling creative. It feels kind of just, if I'm trying to create and everything that comes out feels bad, then I don't feel good trying to create. So do you have any thoughts on that? Do you kind of force yourself, or do you not bother?
I forced myself, and I can kind of remember I was doing exchange studies in Denmark 2018, and there I was kind of like, everything that I had in Finland was taken away. Like, I had, I was just there to practice, basically. I didn't have any jobs, and even the school didn't have kind of like this exchange study kind of like community. So I was like, in the beginning, I was alone a lot there, and I was thinking like, okay, like, I have this dream of writing music, and no one actually cares about this as much as I do myself, and no one cares to come to push me towards this dream if I don't do it myself. And I think I thought that, like, the idea was like, no one is going to come and kick myself towards that dream if I don't do that myself. And then after that, I've been kicking myself for years, and now I think like I reached a point where there wasn't like a spot that wasn't hurting, and I tried to write when I felt like it. I tried to write when I didn't feel like it, and I constantly felt like the stuff I come up and the stuff I do isn't enough or isn't good enough, and always trying to pursue like more and be better. And at some point I started to believe that, like, the voice that I was that spoke in my head, that it's not enough and you are not enough, and yeah, it's not the place I want to go back.
Well, I think I understand. The similar place of, if you're not doing this, then you're not taking steps towards your goal, and then that's bad, and you should always be pursuing your goal every second of every day, and that's exhausting, honestly, and it's a lot of pressure.
It is. Yeah, I like exactly how you said, and it's like, I feel like this summer actually has, like, I've had these times when I felt the first time for a really, really long time that I was actually having a vacation. Like, because like every other time, like during these past years, like every free time was kind of like the idea of, you should pursue this goal every time you didn't have anything else. So there hasn't been a time where you just can let go and enjoy actually the moment, because there's always this voice speaking like you should do more, be more, and yeah, I think it's not the way to do things. It comes down to also like values, and of course everyone's path is different, but I feel like I really gave it my all, and it felt like I tried to, like, I had this kind of like shape or mold in my head, and I tried to squeeze myself into that, like I need to be this, I need to be a good songwriter, and just trying and trying, and it seem to fit. And then, like, yeah, it's not popular, to say that like sometimes giving up is good, but I feel that well, in my case, I think it was the right decision. And of course, like, I think that maybe those things come back in the future in a different way, and this maybe needed to happen for me to learn something about myself and about the world. And also, I think it already has, like, taught me to, like, be grateful of the good things that are happening in my life now, because of going through those times when nothing really felt, nothing really felt good. And now that I've found something of that young heart maybe back, uh, like I feel really grateful and happy that I've, I took another direction.
Well, to kind of maybe summarize all of this, is there anything that you've learned about yourself that you find has been really important thanks to this musical journey?
Well, yeah, I think we've covered a lot already, but I think to be kind to yourself, to be kind to others, I think to tell nice stories about yourself in a world where you can tell so many kinds of stories about yourself, why not talk to yourself nicely? I think that's the stuff I've been learning, or like, that has been the lesson these past few years. And music is so wonderful, and it's so magical, and it should stay that way. But I feel like I lost my way in trying to pursue something with a wrong mindset. And I think, like, if you lose your way, like in a creative process, like then maybe you should need to find your way back, and have your heart in the right place before you continue any further. Because, like, I didn't stop, like, and I just went further and further, and it didn't help, but actually made everything worse. So yeah.
So to switch to something a little less heavy then, as we're starting to get to the end of my questions, I've heard that you're amongst us Patrick Rothfuss fans, and you mentioned before we got recording that you also like fantasy. So what are some of just your favorite things that spark some joy in that sense? Books or shows or games or whatever?
Yeah, well, I've always loved fantasy, and yeah, Patrick Rothfuss was huge. Waiting for the third book when it finally comes. Yeah, and actually, my dog is named Bembi, which, if you've read the books, you might know Bembi from there. But yeah, I also love Joe Abercrombie's books. The First Law series is one of my favorites.
I just started reading this
Well
today.
done. Yes, I've read that 3 times, the trilogy, and everything the guy does is so good. I love the stuff. And yeah, also like I love gaming. I loved Skyrim. When Skyrim came out, like 2011, I was like queuing outside the game shop to get the copy of the game as soon as it came out. And yeah, also I played a lot like Witcher 3, and now the Souls games, Elden Ring, and that kind of worlds are really close to my heart. Yeah, I think those are the first, and of course, like classic, like Lord of the Rings was huge when it came out back in the days, and I read the book when I was in high school. So yeah, I think those are kind of like the foundations of, you know, the fantasy we have. So yeah, really appreciating Tolkien's work.
You have all the same favorites as me, it sounds like. So I appreciate your
Well,
taste.
we have a good taste.
Yes. Well, my last question then, because everyone asks just for last words, but I'd like to try and go a little deeper. So, if you could make the world a better place by just sharing one piece of advice that you've learned yourself along the way, what do you think that would be?
Mm, well, I might be repeating myself, but maybe as simple as that be kind to yourself and be kind to others. We are all learning to live here, and yeah, kindness goes a long way.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was really lovely to get to talk to you, and I hope I see you on stage again sometime in the future, whenever you feel like it.
Hopefully, hopefully, and thanks for asking. Like this has been so much fun and a new experience for me as well.
Awesome.